injury. I think the story of the game was certainly our front on defense. 16 tackles for loss, 8 sacks. We felt like watching us in training camp that we'd have some guys that could have big performances. You just don't ever know in that opening game in a new scheme is it really going to come to fruition. And it was a sight to see. It was tough on those guys to get the ball back to the line of scrimmage. The quarterback was under pressure all night. Did a really good job of limiting explosive plays on defense, and what that allowed is that it allowed our offense to get into a rhythm. Certainly, we had a really good first drive of the game, which netted us 3 points. And what I liked is that when we kind of hit a lull from a scoring standpoint, nobody panicked. We knew the plays would be there. You have to give credit to Elon. I thought they played us very well. They put a lot of guys around the box, made it very difficult to run the football. And when people do that, you have to attack them down the field. And I think when we watched the film, I think the story of our game was the shots that we hit, and then also the shots that we were probably an inch or two away from hitting. And that will give our players, I think, some confidence to realize how close they were from a truly dominating performance in terms of attacking the coverages that Elon was playing against us. And then I'm proud of the offensive line and our backs. I thought the running game, as time went on, got better and better. The last kind of big drive in the fourth quarter, we were able to break some type of runs. So that was very encouraging. Special team standpoint, Topolino, making the field goals was really big. We did not have a penalty enforced against us tonight, which in an opener is really good. I thought as a new staff, I think we had to burn one timeout in the first half. Other than that, procedurally we were pretty clean and sound, things that you worry about in an opener. So you make a big jump between week 1 and week 2, and we need to make a big jump. We're going on the road to a Big Ten opponent, but it's nice to do that with the first win under our belt. Questions?
What did you like most out of what your defensive line showed you with it? So winning the one-on-one battles, is that the main thing, or is there something else?
They just went, and I know that sounds so silly, but they just attacked, the way that this defense is really designed to. And then once they got the nose for it, they didn't stop. They were just relentless, and you never felt the lull. You always felt like the quarterback was under duress, and they tried different things. They tried to move the pocket. They tried chipping. They tried some maximum protection, and it didn't seem like it mattered, which was a credit to our guys. So I do feel like the depth, the numbers that we have. We rolled through a lot of guys at the D tackle position. We rolled through a lot of guys at the defensive end position. I think that was a big help as well, to help us stay fresh and really be in that attack mode.
Was that schematic on your end, or was that individual effort? What would you attribute that to?
Well, both. You have to give the individuals the credit because they're the ones that make the plays. But as we mentioned all off season, our goal is to be one of the top teams in the country in tackle for loss. So 16 for us in the scheme it's a lot, but it's not like that's not happened before. You just don't normally expect that to happen in week 1, game 1. So I think we'll get a lot of confidence from that in terms of how we play our front, how we play our linebackers. But to see a guy like Cam Bergeron, making the plays he made, I think 2.5 tackle for losses. BJ Anthony, there's just a lot of guys that I thought showed up tonight.
Manny, how much did that touchdown in the first half change the narrative going into the locker room at halftime?
I think it did. There's no way that that 3-0 you feel it's tight, and Elon was doing a really good job on offense of just slowing the game down, trying to take the air out of the game and shorten the game. So to be able to hit that explosive play, I think it's like we finally got one. Because we had been close, and then we finally got one. I think everybody relaxed a little bit after that time, but still have to credit the defense. The defense just with 13, it's kind of not a 2-score game, and I think the defense went out there in the third quarter and they were just dominant, which eventually let us push it to to 19 and 21 and so on. So
speaking of that explosive play, Eli hasn't played in the game since I think December 28th of 2022. 7 catches, I think it was 81 yards, and a touchdown. How happy were you to see him get this opportunity to be back on the field?
I'm really happy, and our locker room was ecstatic when they heard that. A guy like any player when they come back from injury, it's always tough when you're away from the game. But when you're at his point of his career, when you're an older guy, and suddenly you start to stare life after football in the face, and so for him, he appreciates every day in this program because he's so. It is like a new lease on life that he's got this football back, and we felt like in this offense again, the way with the tempo we play, there's going to be a lot of balls to go around, and you never know who's going to be the guy, and it happened to be him on a couple of those throws tonight, and we needed it.
What was your overall assessment of Malik going through his progressions? Not, just having a single turnover.
For game one, we're pretty pleased. You know, like I said, I think he'll look at some of the near misses that really could have blown the game open. You know, certainly had the one pick, but maybe another time or two that the ball was in harm's way. I got to give credit to our offensive line; he was never sacked. That's huge. And they probably pressured. They probably sent 5. I would say maybe over half the game. So credit for that. So I think it's a good opening performance for Malik. But I think he, like everybody else, will say, "Oh wow, like there's so much more meat on the bone."
Coach, shifting to the atmosphere, what did it mean to you to see the student section fill up there right before kickoff,
Yeah.
and then maybe just talk about the new deck and everything and the whole.
Student section was awesome. It's funny, I didn't look through the deck as much as I wanted to during the game. I was kind of busy, but I did notice the students. I thought they were phenomenal, and especially today. I mean, it was like you know, build an arc rain like from 2 to 4 this afternoon, and you worry about would that deter some people from coming. So I thought our players fed off the energy of the game of the crowd, and especially once we started rolling in the second half, it was a fun atmosphere to be around.
You know, Coach, so much energy in this game, and you guys kept it very disciplined, minimized, you know, penalties. How proud are you of them? You know, first game of the season for that.
Yeah, in an opening game, that's a big deal. It really is. And so, like I said, just we didn't help Elon very much, right? And sometimes the way to win games is make yourself hard to beat. So by not having penalties, we only had the 1 turnover, limiting explosive big plays on defense. We didn't have very many, you know, like I said, not getting sacked, so we weren't going backwards on offense. So checks a lot of the boxes usually on what ends up winning a game.
Manny, you said earlier in the week when I asked you how your emotions might be about getting back out there as a head coach, you said you're worried about everybody else. Were you able to kind of take it in a little bit, kind of the first, or were you so preoccupied with game plan and everything else that you can't savor it a little bit? Didn't that
No,
work?
you know what? It just honestly, it just felt very natural. You know, just good to be back, and good to just sort of, you know, the staff were on game day. We're problem solvers, right? And when you're the head coach, you're kind of the chief problem solver. And so you just sit there, you listen to both sides of the ball, and see what's working, what we can be doing better, and just try to help the guys on the staff, you know, make the adjustments during the game, which I thought we did a good job of today. So it was an enjoyable experience, and again, our guys and our staff make it easy for me to have an enjoyable experience.
Last question.
3 or 4 of those deep balls bounced off the receiver's hands. How do you correct that? What do you say to the guys during the game?
You're inches away, right? You're inches away, and I think our guys will see that, you know. And we had one on the sideline as well. So it's the precision that's needed to be elite, which is really what we want to do in offense. I look at it 2 ways. I look at it as it will make our guys so hungry because they will see what this thing can be, and the amount of yards that we could have had and the points that we could have had. So we're not very far off, but these are things that you normally would expect. It takes a game or 2 to kind of get yourself, you know, in that timing of the quarterbacks and his receivers to really get it on point.